Step into the spotlight.
Hey guys, what's up? Underground Geek here. So I'd just like to say that I went to the restroom, came back, and there is a child's car seat sitting in my office. Somebody's just sat it there. There's no child in it, if you're asking, but it looks brand new too. Somebody just like opened the door, put it in here and left because I could hear them, and then they're just gone now. I don't know. Is it an invisible baby? Is this some kind of suspect device that has been left? I'm not sure. We'll find out. I mean, it's almost as bad as if they let the kid in there. But anyway, I'm Underground Geek, and today I want to talk about a comic. And I don't know. I've never liked and disliked a comic so much before that I've read. Spider-Man is one of my favorite characters ever, and I think it's the outfit. I think that's what it is. I think it's the outfit and how he is so easygoing, and he's just a fun character. You know, there's him, Batman, Hulk, Wolverine. I mean, they fit anywhere, and they're great characters. So when they started doing this series, a friend of mine that writes stories about comics and things like that. He's like a news reporter. He said, "Man, you need to read Amazing Spider-Man and Renew Your Vows. You need to read it. You need to read it." And I said, "Oh, okay." And then I started reading it, and I was like, "Oh, okay, this is boring. I don't really like this." And so I kept reading it, and then I kind of let it fall off some because I didn't really like it that much. It was just kind of boring. And then, so here recently, I picked it back up again. And this is issue 12. If I'm not mistaken, I think this is the last issue. This was just going to be a limited run. They're going to try to make as much money as they could. And that's it. Well, anyway, this is issue number 12, Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows. So let's check out this cover. Pretty cool cover, isn't it? I really like this cover. The only problem is Normie Osborn. He's totally out of care. I mean, it throws the whole dynamic of the cover off. I wish they had drawn him a little bit different. Maybe put him in a background or something. But, you know, other than that, it's really cool. So let's talk about what's on the inside of this comic. Let me flip to the next page here. It says, when Peter Parker was bitten by a radioactive spider, he gained the proportional speed, strength, and agility of a spider. Learning that with great power there must also come great responsibility, he became the crime-fighting superhero Spider-Man. With his wife Mary Jane and their daughter Annie Mae, I hate that name. I don't know why I hate that name so much, but I do. The Parker family has become a force to be reckoned with. Tricked into bonding with the symbiote Spider, MJ struggled to control the alien's violent impulses as she and Peter wrestled with what that means for their family. Meanwhile, Normie Osborn's festering anger over the death of his father and Peter Parker's best friend has driven him to drastic steps in order to preserve the Osborn legacy. And then we go on and on. So this is Curse of the Green Goblin Part 2. So we start out here, and this is in the midst of a fight between a giant Green Goblin mech and the Spider family. I kid you not. That's where the last issue ended, and then now we began with this issue. And it says, I often look back on this day as the day I truly became a superhero. Up until then, I was just playing the part because I had superpowers. Okay, you know, showing some weakness in the character. You know, she's not perfect. She's imperfect. She's just a child. And then Spider-Man says, "Yeesh, Normie, that's quite the murder bot you built. Your grandpa would be proud." And I was like, that's funny. You know, that worry was funny. And then she says, but that day I learned that having superpowers alone isn't enough. So here's where it kind of got on my nerves, okay? The XMen show up, all right? And they come in with their jet, and they're like, pow, 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 pow. You know, they're shooting at the robot. The robot turns around and instantly demobilizes the jet. And Spider-Man has to save them. And then the X-Men cut out of it, and we get a cool shot of the original X-Men. Cyclops, Wolverine, Jean Grey, and Iceman. And they all look like their characters. And so then he teams up with them and starts attacking. And he says, be careful, this thing is more deadly than careful. He says, leave it to the X-Men, Spidey. And I just don't believe that the X-Men would be this careless. I just don't. But you can't make me believe that. They're full-grown X-Men. This team is a force to be reckoned with. So right off the bat, you throw me off. So they start attacking the robot. And basically, the robot at this point is a Sentinel. That's what it is at this point. It's just a Sentinel. Because the inside of the mouth looks like a Sentinel, and it has actually absorbing power qualities. So every time they use an attack on it, it can absorb their powers and use it back at them. So he says, you guys need to listen to me. This thing is precise and deadly. You can't just, and then Cyclops shoots at the ice because it can actually shoot ice back now. He says, he has regen tech. That means get out of here before you make this thing impossible to take down. So he means get out of here before you give them all your powers. And so then we cut to Mary Jane, and she's asking Liz, one of the members of the Oscorp team, how do I get the symbiote off? You got the symbiote on me. You tricked me. How do I get it off? And she said, there's possibly something we can use at Oscorp. And she said, probably something. You mean to tell me you infected me with this thing without knowing how to remove it? And she says, I know you're trying to protect your son, and then your son kidnapped my daughter. She says, I ought to let this thing out, and you can see what your little mistake can. And then it says, dear gosh, what has Normie done? As they see the giant robot. I don't really like Mary Jane's character. She's annoying, she's rash, and she's very angry all the time. Women are not that angry. And so then the X-Men are still getting attacked. And now Spider-Man is having to save every one of them individually, one at a time. That does not make any sense. And he says, Logan, listen, if you don't get out of here, that thing will absorb your healing factor. If that happens, and then it blasts Jean, and Wolverine goes on a rampage and tries to attack it, and then it absorbs his powers and has Wolverine claws, which makes no sense. He said it would absorb his healing factor, and it started using his claws, which makes no sense. And he says, oh good, now the murder robot has absorbed all the X-Men's powers. And here I thought this was going to be easy. And so then he's trying to get on it. He's trying to find out where it's storing the abilities. And then we cut again to Oscorp HQ. And Mary Jane is breaking in to save her daughter, the Spiderling. I know, she's a Spiderling. It's not very creative, whatever. And she says, what's going on with your costume, Mom? And I don't really understand, because didn't she, like, just the last issue, wasn't she teaming up with her mom and Peter Parker, and she already had the Venom costume? Yeah, that's a plot hole. But anyway, it says, who's that? Normie's mom? Gross. And so she's trying to save her. They get her out, and then they find Normie Osborn on the ground with a big hole in his head, and I was like, he's dead. Somebody just killed a child. And then Normie wakes up. He says, I didn't want to do bad things anymore. That's very out of character for him to talk like that, because I understand he's a child, but up until this point, he has not talked like a child. He has talked like a very intelligent grown-up. And then now he's like, I didn't want to do bad things anymore. That doesn't really make sense. But so then it says, if you're not piloting the evil mech, then who is? And then we cut, and it's Miss January. She was the one kind of pulling the strings in the background, trying to get Normie to do stuff. I don't want to do bad stuff anymore. And so she's attacking them, and Spider-Man's trying to get in there. He's trying to use the one of his bombs to get in there, and then it actually blows up and reverses the beam and actually causes his powers to get sucked in. So then he has got no superpowers. He's fallen, and Mary Jane catches him. And she says, Peter, please wake up. And he says, no matter, I'll take out your whole family if I have to. So then she shoots at him, and it actually blasts the symbiote off of Mary Jane. So then she's sitting there with no powers. Neither one of them do. And she says, the symbiote, it's gone. Uh-oh. Hold on tight, Tiger. And then he falls over. And see, this is what I don't like about this Spider-Man. I've noticed everyone in this comic book is completely inept and has no idea what to do on their own. The X-Men come in, they're completely stupid, and now Spider-Man comes in, and he says, Mary Jane, are you okay? Yeah, you. Other than being powerless, I'm okay. And then he asks her, what do we do now? The main superhero in this comic just asked his wife, what do we do now? And she says, we do what normal people do, take cover. Oh, you're so clever. So then we cut back, and Normie is trying to come up with a way to stop the robot because he's good now. He was just doing what the lady was trying to get him to do. And he says, I made the mech to be almost indestructible, but there is one weakness. I'll do my best to direct you. Did you hear what he just said? Does that sound like a person that 5 minutes ago said, I didn't want to do bad things anymore? I mean, this is what I'm saying. It's completely out of character. She says, we can do this. And I kind of got a warm moment there because, I want Normie and the Spider-Man girl to be friends. I think that would be an interesting comic. He said, there's an air vent on the mech's upper back. Get to it. Roger that, Captain. She zooms off. Then we cut back to the mech, and he's like literally blasting in the building. Spider-Man and Mary Jane have nowhere to go because they completely given up because Spider-Man is the worst superhero ever in this comic book. And so she gets on the back. She gets in the vent, starts crawling through the vent ways. He's directing her. And it's a neat little scene there because, she's saying, I'll never leave you alone. I'll actually be your friend. I know you haven't had any friends, and I'll be your friend. I was like, oh, that's nice. And then she reaches the central nervous system, and it's a freaking jack-o'-lantern. Oh, my gosh. Anyway, so she reaches it, and he says that you have to smash it, of course. That's the thing. So she smashes it. The mech goes down right on the building that they're in. And then she pops out, and Spider-Man is trying to see what's going on, and she just says, hi, Dad. And he says, Mary Jane, you're not going to believe this. And then Normie's come running in there because, the mom just let an infant go running after a girl that's on top of a big robot mech. And he says, thank goodness you're alive. And she says, I remember thinking right then and there that I was so lucky to have such a loving family. And so they wrap things up. They take Miss January in. And Mary Jane has put on a mask to keep people from seeing her. They wrap things up. Spiderling and Normie hug. They hug it out. And then all of a sudden we cut to 8 years later. That's a neat little thing, but it kind of threw me off. I was like, why? Why 8 years? But anyway, so this is her birthday. And on her birthday, they have given her new costume. And then we end with her zooming off with her family in her new costume. Pretty cool costume. I kind of like it. I like the color scheme. Something different. It stands out enough from the rest of them, but you can still tell it's a Spider-Man costume. And she says, my name is Annie Mae Parker, and I'm here to save the day. Oh, that's cool. But can I point something out? Please don't immediately give her own comic book where she's like the best superhero ever. Can you put her on like some kind of team or something where she can just fight like street level crime? I think that would be a good idea. And then we cut to, I guess it says next, but it's just a cover page. It says send letters to Spidey office at Marvel, okay to print. And then it ends, but I really like this picture here. It's got the whole team flying through the air, and it's pretty good. But here's the deal. That's what I'm saying about this is the comic that I like and hate at the same time. I think it's the problem with what's been wrong with most of the stories in Marvel. The art is great, and the story is not. You know what I mean? Ryan Stegman is the writer, and every time I see Ryan Stegman on the cover, I instantly think of the dinosaur people in the comic books. Brian Level is the artist. Jesus Alberto is the colorist, and Joe Caramagna is the letterer. Oh, he's so nice. Not really, but anyway. But anyway, guess who the editor is? Heather Antos. Oh, yeah. She's just assistant editor. But here's my thing. Excuse me. The art is great. The story is not. Enough said. I'm kind of glad this is over because there's too many Spider-Man stories. We don't need this many. And we really don't need a dysfunctional marriage where Mary Jane is a hateful person. Spider-Man's a beta male that lets her do whatever she wants, and then Spiderling just runs off on her own adventures because she has such a dysfunctional family. But tell me what you think about this comic. Tell me what you think about my video. Hit the thumbs up button. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of my videos. And tell me what you're going to be reading tomorrow. I think I'm going to do a preview of what's coming out and what I'm going to be picking up. Alright guys, Underground Geek out.